Hello, if you're watching this video, you're either a client of the Prop Firm bundle or are currently conducting a trial. I have noticed that installing and doing backtest of the Longbow Expert Advisors has a bit more complexity than your standard EA. So I wanted to make this detailed video to walk you through how you would go about testing our Longbow EAs, as well as what you need to do for them to run live successfully. So here in Longbow, as of today, which is the 31st of May 2025, we have two Longbows which are currently trading, the Longbow Fund Manager V6, and we have the German Longbow as well. We also have this folder here, data for backtesting, including the COT data folder and the odaxpc.csv. This one relates to golden longbow, so it's less relevant. So we have the COT data folder and we have the odaxpc, and both of these will be super important. So first of all, to set up the EAs and to run your backtest here, you will have to download all three of these and then go into data for backtesting and download all of these as well. And when you download the COT data folder in particular, make sure that folder is not zipped. So even if you download it as a zip file, you have to extract it from the zip file in order for this to work. So download these three and then go here and download all the EAs. Once those are in your downloads folder, go and open the MT5 terminal right here. So to actually put those data files where they need to be, so that's the COT data folder and the odaxpc, you're going to do the following. You're going to go to Tools, you're going to go to MetaQuotes Language Editor, which will open the Integrated Development Environment. This is just the coding platform. Here you will go into the Open Common Data folder. And this is really important. We want to open the Common Data folder, not the Normal Data folder. And this is the common folder used from all of your different EAs. Once you go here and you have this nice thing open, or this like the terminal open in front of you, you can go to Files. Under Files is where you will copy and paste those events. So I have a bunch of files here, but you can see I have COT data folder and I have odaxpc. So once you go to Common, you go under Files, and then you have the full folder here and you have odaxpc. And within the COT data folder, you should see one for Gold, NDX, and SPX. And they will all look something like this. If you open them up, they're all CSVs, so they might also open in Excel. And you'll see long change, short change. And for odaxpc, this is options data, so you will see date and PC ratio. One thing to note when running the backtests, these files need to be updated manually. So you won't be able to backtest beyond this date here, but they mostly go back quite far. The options data goes back until June of 2021, whereas the COT data goes back until 2020. So when you run your backtest for any of the Longbow Fund Managers, so V6, you're able to run a backtest since 2020. But for the German Longbow, which is using the odaxpc, this you can only backtest from 2021 indicatively. So yes, you can run a backtest further back, but you're missing the data, so it won't give you the same accuracy by any means. So effectively here, also like when you run this backtest too, beyond this date, it will just pick the last number, so it just won't trade. But beyond this date, it's not an accurate backtest. And periodically, I will update those files and update the folders in the drive so that you are able to run said backtests and run more updated backtests. But now here you can go and see that I have Longbow Fund Manager up, and I'm just going to walk you guys through the Inputs tab and talk about why these different inputs would be relevant to you. So here, this is where you put your license key and your email. One thing to note, when you run a backtest, you're going to get errors that say invalid license key. In a backtest, it doesn't matter. It's just trying to run a web request. It's trying to do a web request, which is not possible in the strategy tester. So that's why it will throw the error, but it will have zero impact on performance. When you do live trading, you should then not see this error and it should work properly. Here, in terms of place trades hour, this is when it will actually place the trades. And this corresponds to standard platform time. So if your terminal, your broker, does not use standard time, which is 7 hours ahead of New York, then you might need to adjust this. And here effectively you can go and see the risk settings and if you want to have a break-even stop on. And here, this is where it will look and read the commitment of traders reports here, and it will use a certain threshold of minimum positioning increase in order to assess whether or not the market is bullish that week. And I encourage you to watch some more videos on the Longbow strategy if you really want to get to the bottom of what this means. But more importantly, for like functionality, which is really the purpose of this video, you have to make sure that these symbols match your broker. So if your broker, for instance, is like some of them have a suffix or prefix at the end, or here, like sometimes the NASDAQ symbol is NAS 100 or SP 500 or US Tech. If that's the case, please make sure that that matches. In terms of sentiment analysis, this expert advisor is equipped to use the Perplexity AI model in order to perform sentiment analysis. If you want to use that, you're able to simply put in a key here, but please note that you can't backtest this type of AI model, so that's why it's set to false by default. And here we also now finally have our randomizers for prop firms, where you're able to go in and turn this on, and this is the auto randomizer function. So it will just add a delay of around 5 minutes to the opening and close time. But if you are running this on prop firms, I'd also encourage you to change the magic number and maybe like make the stop loss a tiny bit different, like 2 or something like that, just to add a little bit of variety. And now here we can run a quick back test just to show you guys what this should look like. This is a swing trading system, so in the interest of time, I'm using 1 minute open, high, low, close, because it doesn't make a huge difference here, but you're welcome to test it with every tick based on real ticks as well. And this is really what your back test should look like. So here we're seeing roughly an 8% drawdown, and it's turning $10,000 into around $53,000 or $54,000 over the span of 5 and a bit years. So it's a very profitable system. But so your back test should look something like this. If it's not looking like this, something might be wrong. So how you actually run it now is you would simply go and find the bot which is loaded in your folder, and you would go and you would set it up here. One thing to note is I did cover how you would put the files in, because if you've used any of our other EAs, you would know how to actually get the EAs here. But maybe just to cover how you'd actually get the EA in your MT5 terminal as well, in case you haven't seen our other videos. You can go back here and go into Open Data folder. You can also access that from the terminal. And then you would simply go into MQL5, Experts, and then copy and paste the EAs here. So if you copy and paste the EAs here, so that's the executable files which you will have access to, put them in your terminal data folder. So the files, the data files, go into the common data folder, whereas the EA would come here under your your normal data folder under MQL5 Experts in here. But I also have an installation guide on the website which gives them more, or pardon me, on the YouTube channel, which goes a bit more into detail here. So when you actually go and drag the EA on the chart, you will see the Inputs tab here, and you're able to adjust the same settings. Once again, please make sure that your symbols match your broker. One more thing to note is for running it live, you will need to allow certain web requests. You need to allow the web request to the CFTC's website, and I will put all of these in the descriptions. You also need to allow your web request for testing. You need to allow, for the German Longbow, you need to allow the Google Drive web request. And if you plan to use Perplexity, you have to also allow that. So I will put all of these in the description. And now here, let me just show you German Longbow as well, which is a bot which uses our put-call ratio data on the German DAX options. And what would that look like? It would be this. And effectively here, all you have to do is, if you want to use Perplexity, you have to be careful to put in your key here as well, so that you're able to use it. You can turn the randomizer on, but the settings are very comparable to our Longbow Fund Manager, except they are adapted to the DAX. And feel free to please play around and toggle with this as much as you'd like. Here I'll run a backtest in 2022 to match the fact that we have shorter data, as mentioned earlier. And you'll be able to see that this would be, for instance, under conservative settings, what German Longbow would look like. And you'd also be able to, for instance, if you want to use more aggressive settings, make this number, the max put-call ratio, a bit higher, setting it to 2, for instance, and you can have more aggressive settings. So that is, generally speaking, how you would do this. But for all of these to work, you need to actually put the files in. And then when you go into your journal tab, you'll see if it's successfully reading the file. So here you can see that it's successfully reading the put call ratio from the file and is 1.115. And same thing here, and it's deciding to make trading decisions off of that put call ratio. So always go check your journal tab. When you run it live, look at the experts tab because it will be printing the live results, which it is obtaining through web requests. So that is how this works. For it to backtest properly, make sure the files go into the common data folder. For it to work live, make sure that your symbols are matching in the case of Longbow Fund, and make sure that you're allowing these web requests. So guys, always feel free to send me an email if you have any questions or reach out via Telegram, but I hope this tutorial was helpful into how to set up any of our Longbow bots.